Have you ever watched a story with a gripping narrative or one about the struggles of a pair of siblings? Well, when you combine both, you get the brand new 𝐷𝐼 and 𝐷𝐼, a show where a pair of twins keep switching their roles as an adopted child to delve deeper into the shocking murder of their loved one, using their intellect and wit to investigate everything around them for vengeance. Showing us heart-pounding scenes 1 second and shifting to a comedic one the very next moment. Buckle in, anime fans, because this is going to be a real shocker. December 1989, as a couple knocks on the door at 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐎 house, a group of students happily rush out and embrace them. Later, as they're leaving, the wife asks if they should just adopt them all before her act gets swept away by the wind, but a boy catches it, to whom she says that she'll get it tomorrow. As they sit in their car, it suddenly starts raining, and they see the same boy protecting a dog with his umbrella while being drenched himself. The couple happily welcomes 𝐸𝐸 to his extravagant room and start decorating before the husband notices a large box sitting in the corner. Before he can get to it, 𝐸𝐸 asks if he can decorate it, which they warmly agree to and leave to prepare dinner. Once they're gone, he steps forward and opens the box, revealing his twin, and they start decorating. The father comes to take 𝐸𝐸 for dinner, saying his mother made a lot. While they're eating dinner, the couple turns in the other direction to pass a bowl, during which 𝐸𝐸 quickly changes places with his twin and hides under the table while he eats his fill. After dinner, the two quickly change places and massage their father's back. Later, the twins, 𝐷𝐼 and 𝐷𝐼, spend the entire night laying out their plan of progress as one before heading for breakfast, where the parents ask him to not be so formal since he is their son, to which he politely agrees, and later overhears them talking about how they want to make some memories with him, like baking a cherry pie or having him ride on their shoulders. He gets a book and purposefully sits beside the mother, expressing his fondness for cherry pie, after which she happily takes him to the kitchen and bakes one with him as their father sadly watches from afar. But one of the two notices this and later try to get his help hanging up a birdhouse, but he ends up breaking his back because of his age, so they come up with a plan, and both 𝐷𝐼 and 𝐷𝐼 hang from different sides at the same time, tying themselves and reducing the weight on the father's shoulders. They stay up that night, taking note of the different discoveries they've made about the old couple before remarking that cherry pie is delicious. Some time ago, as 𝐷𝐼 and 𝐷𝐼 hear about a couple from Oregon Village coming to the orphanage to adopt a child, they remark that they've been waiting for this day and put their plan into motion. When the couple arrives, as one hooks up the mother's hat, the other catches it before rushing down and leaving one to splatter their car with water, as the other shields a fake dog before shyly introducing himself as 𝐸𝐸. The twins are at the 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐎 home having a bath when their mother walks into the bathroom, making one of them hide underwater to avoid being noticed. Later, she's brushing 𝐸𝐸's hair and complimenting its beauty. He admits he doesn't like his hair because he's been teased for its uniqueness, but she reassures him that being different is a good thing. The parents leave 𝐸𝐸 at home while they go out, sparking the twins' suspicion that they're hiding something, so they decide to snoop around their bedroom and find a purple thong, which they play with in an attempt to figure out its purpose. Among their discoveries are the father, Osamu's personal writings, and a photo of him dancing with a woman who doesn't seem to be his wife. They also stumble upon a collection of wigs and quickly exit as their parents return, becoming even more worried when they discover their parents are planning a welcome party and have hidden a large metal object in a shed, fearing it might be a machine meant for scalping them to make wigs. At the welcome party, 𝐷𝐼 pretends to be 𝐸𝐸, while 𝐷𝐼 hides in a chandelier as part of their plan to prevent any wicked actions from their adoptive parents. They meet the Ichiju family, including Eiji and Karen, as well as other guests like Tsutsumi Manta and a boy named Akiyama who gives them candy. 𝐷𝐼, hanging in the chandelier, drops hot sauce into his mother's wine glass. Unaware, she asks for water, and 𝐷𝐼 unsuspectingly gives her glass after glass of what seems like water, but is actually gin, making her drunk. He goes upstairs and finds Eiji looking into a room, claiming he's trying to find a bathroom before remarking that he finds 𝐸𝐸's hair pretty, which 𝐷𝐼 considers creepy, as the twins plan to set their parents on fire using olive oil and a magnifying glass. The mother blindfolds 𝐸𝐸, and the father goes outside to bring him a gift. When the blindfold is removed, the parents reveal they've gotten 𝐸𝐸 a bicycle, making 𝐷𝐼 unsure on how to respond, so 𝐷𝐼 uses the magnifying glass to burn his back, causing an excited reaction. Later, 𝐷𝐼 puts ice on 𝐷𝐼's back and fixes his shirt as they discuss what they've learned, realizing the woman in the photo with a young Osamu was a younger version of his wife, Yuko, and that her wigs are made of synthetic hair. Before 𝐷𝐼 admits he didn't know what it felt like to be part of a family, as 𝐷𝐼 suggests they leave to visit their real mother and ride the new bicycle to her grave. They think about living with their mother in a tent outside of Oregon Village, and one winter night, finding her missing from the tent, they went to the village and found her lying on the ground, dead, holding a snowflake button, and reveal they made a plan to be adopted to uncover who murdered their mother. 𝐷𝐼 and 𝐷𝐼 reflect on their experiences in 1982 when they lived with their mother, spending a lot of time in darkness beneath a bed. Their room had wallpaper with water fleas, and they drew squiggled lines on it. After her death, they used a small wagon to transport her body and found a snowflake button in her hand during the burial, which Maiji now wears as a necklace. In the present day, Yuko hopes for her son to join the Boy Scouts and make friends while the twins discuss their plan to uncover their mother's murderer, aiming to find the home with the water flea wallpaper. They recognize that making friends is essential for gaining access to people's homes, but struggle with the challenge of not knowing how to make friends. At camp, Hitori's eagerness to make friends becomes evident, and a boy suggests to Akiyama that he should be friends with Hitori, playfully calling Akiyama a bird boy, so in an effort to make friends. Hitori reveals that he considers himself a bird since tori is the Japanese word for bird. Other boys set a condition that they will befriend Hitori only if he can walk a high tightrope without using his hands. Although he eventually completes the challenge, using his hands makes them take back their friendship offer. However, Akiyama genuinely expresses a desire to be friends with him. Akiyama invites Hitori to his house, and Hitori brings a cherry pie as Dali accompanies Akiyama into his bedroom, where he shares his dream of flying while showcasing his bird costume. Dali expresses a desire to witness his loneliness and sadness, and the two share a hug. Meanwhile, Miji explores the bedroom of Akiyama's sleeping sister, finding the water flea wallpaper, but discovering no squiggled markings before Akiyama's sister unconsciously grabs and hugs him. Later, as the boys converse in their private tent, they acknowledge the challenges of making friends, suggesting that the cons outweigh the pros. Hitori is invited to Maruda's house to play, with Dali searching the house while Maiji plays Hitori. Maruda, however, warns him not to touch his toys due to a fear of germs, eats his cake, and plays a game where he handicaps Hitori to prevent him from winning and hint if he loses, but when Dali takes on the role of Hitori and wins, he retaliates by repeatedly hitting Maruda until Miji intervenes. On their return home, the Soramain parents introduce Hitori to the new housemaid, Mrs. Mitsuyama. Maiji, taking on the persona of Hitori, is introduced to Mrs. Mitsuyama, a longtime friend of Yuko who works as a cleaner in the Soramain home. She prefers to be called Mikshan and playfully describes Hitori as cute as a canary, bombarding him with somewhat intimidating questions before saying that she cleans other homes in the village, but doesn't discuss the details of those households before they start teasing Hitori for wearing striped underwear. Frustrated by the mockery of his underwear, Meiji vents his irritation by being rude about the others and mimicking their voices before Dali surprisingly discovers that he excels at impersonating Yuko's voice. Making use of this hidden talent, they trick Mrs. Mitsuyama into revealing that the Ichijo home includes rooms with water flea-patterned wallpaper. Hitori leaves for his first day of school, with Miji riding the bus and Dali getting there by the bicycle. Placed in the same class as Akiyama, Hitori's class placement prompts a hug from him, and Ichijo, positioned in the top class for gifted students, serves as the class president before the classmates quickly identify Hitori as having lived in an orphanage, scene which she asks Akiyama to stay away from him to prevent potential bullying. In an attempt to befriend Iji, Hitori claims him as a friend in the bathroom, but Iji feigns ignorance, making him realize that befriending Iji hinges on sharing the same class for gifted students as the twins decide to achieve good grades. But the challenge proves to be intimidating, so they separate coursework to focus on different classes but still continue struggling. Meiji unexpectedly develops feelings for a girl at school named Sally, drawn to her long, dark hair and eyes similar to their mother, who was actually Dali disguised in a girl's wig and uniform to attend school unnoticed while Meiji is in class, seeking a way to motivate him to study harder, and sets a condition for consideration, saying she will date Meiji if he scores 100% on his exams, and despite the high levels of stress, Meiji accomplishes this feat in Japanese and English, earning a date with Sally. They head for the aquarium, where Meiji purchases a necklace with 2 dolphins for her, but Dali decides ending the charade and tells him that she's moving somewhere far away, leading to the necklace breaking, so he suggests each of them keeping a dolphin as a memento. He later comforts Meiji when he returns home in tears after the date. Meanwhile, at school, Iji discovers the snowflake button among Hitori's belongings during a routine inspection, calling it improper. The Soramain family receives an invite to the Ichijo family home to celebrate Hitori's amazing performance in his midterm exams, so Meiji and Dali hatch a plan for him to pose as Hitori, while Dali investigates the house for the water flea wallpaper and any hints related to their mother's death. Meanwhile, before the visit, Iji is in his bedroom inspecting a small pajama shirt missing a snowflake button. At the Ichijo residence, Mrs. Ichijo and her kids keep the Soramains engaged while Dali explores in secrecy as Iji takes the chance to show Hitori the pajama shirt without the button, causing him to react with surprise before Dali quickly intervenes, using a knife on Meiji's shirt to remove the necklace with the button before Iji decides to go ahead and check Hitori's clothes thoroughly and extends the inspection from his pockets and down to his underwear. He instructs his dog to find the missing button by scent, causing panic for Dali hiding under the table with the button. Surprisingly, Minji admits to taking the button, having found it in the bathroom, while concerns about Hattori's upbringing surface as Mrs. 𝐶𝐐𝐒 suggests that the Sorame parents may lose him to the orphanage if they don't address his behavior and proposes keeping him with the 𝐶𝐐𝐒 family for re-education. Meanwhile, Maiji finds himself confined in a hidden room, restrained and dressed only in striped underwear as Igi feeds him dog food, while demanding an explanation for Hattori's possession of the snowflake button lost from his pajamas 8 years ago. Dali tries to intervene, but Maiji insists he isn't in pain and encourages him to continue their search for clues. Dali informs Maiji, who's dressed in baby clothes and limited to a playpen, of the absence of water flea wallpaper in the 𝐶𝐐𝐒 home. As Maiji reminisces on a childhood memory of hearing water fleas and realizes it was the sound of a piano playing before, Dali connects the dots and realizes the presence of a piano near the hidden room where Maiji is confined and urges him to explore, after which that the room he's in has water flea wallpaper as well as the squiggled lines they drew as children, and find a note by their mother expressing pride in "My dear Maiji and Dali," which triggers an emotional response as he starts crying for his mother before Mrs. 𝐶𝐐𝐒 intervenes, forcefully silencing him with a bottle and telling him to grow up to be like Igi. Dali continues his search within the 𝐶𝐐𝐒 home, thinking about how normally the 𝐶𝐐𝐒 family goes about their lives despite keeping a child in a hidden room. Trying to enter the 𝐶𝐒𝐒 father's study during the family's absence, he's found out by Mrs. Mitsuyama, the Wednesday house cleaner. While exploring the office, Dali discovers a photo of Mr. and Mrs. 𝐶𝐒𝐒, revealing their mother as the photographer through a reflection in the glass. Mrs. Mitsuyama, suspecting the woman's role as a housekeeper, finds the situation confusing since the 𝐶𝐒𝐒 family mostly prefers housekeepers above the age of 50. Dali convinces him to explore the forbidden upstairs rooms, and they come across a portrait that switches around to unveil an entrance to an attic housing a large model of the village that contains miniature figurines showing all the village residents before Dali stumbles upon documents indicating the 𝐶𝐒𝐒 family's surveillance of everyone in the village before hearing a noise, to which Mrs. Mitsuyama advises Dali to hide himself. As he leaves his hiding place later, Dali discovers that the head of the figurine of Mrs. Mitsuyama has been cut off. Maiji remains confined in his secret room at the 𝐶𝐒𝐒 household, while Dali hides elsewhere in the house and is faced with hunger, after which she reluctantly agrees to share some dog food with a household dog. Mrs. 𝐶𝐒𝐒 continues treating Maiji, whom she believes to be Hattori, like a baby, providing him with a bottle, a pacifier, and changing his diaper. In an attempt to gather information about the family's secrets, Maiji tries to portray the perfect toddler. After showcasing his ability to walk like a young child, he earns the privilege of leaving the hidden room and joining the family at the dining table. Claiming to be a 5-year-old, Maiji is designated as the younger brother to Igi and Karen and asks various questions, including one about the difference in hair color, to which Igi explains that as he approaches 10 years old, his hair will darken. Upon successfully presenting himself as a well-behaved 5-year-old, Maiji is told that he can return to the Sorame home with his adoptive parents. That evening, the twins wonder about what they should do. Zero on the matter of leaving the 𝐶𝐒𝐒 residence and fear it might hold back their goal to unravel the mystery surrounding their mother's death. Dali enters the room where Maiji was held captive and discovers, for the first time, the message their mother wrote on the wallpaper, bringing him to tears. In an attempt to identify the 𝐶𝐒𝐒 family member responsible for their mother's death, Maiji decides to use the wallpaper as a makeshift Ouija board, which inspires Dali to spook the family by having him pose as a ghostly apparition of their mother. The first encounter is with Mr. 𝐶𝐒𝐒, who warmly embraces her, addressing her by the name Metridi, and being relieved at finding her. The sudden knowledge of their mother's name sparks speculation about Mr. 𝐶𝐒𝐒's relationship with her and the possibility of him being their father. The charade continues with Mrs. 𝐶𝐒𝐒, who initially reacts with a terrified shriek, but then assumes a bizarre demeanor, claiming that she finally came to steal it, and proceeds to stab at various objects in the home armed with scissors. But as she approaches the couch where the twins are concealed, Mr. 𝐶𝐒𝐒 intervenes, preventing any harm and allowing the twins to escape to the kitchen. There, they encounter Igi, who recognizes Metri and reacts as if encountering a ghost, after which his pajamas look to be soiled, and he is later found trembling under the covers of his bed. As Hattori returns to the Sorame home, marked by a celebration that includes a surprise appearance by Akiyama, Hattori, looking visibly drained, heads to his bedroom, where his parents offer him cherry pie, while Akiyama watches with tears in his eyes. Dali and Maiji strongly suspect Igi 𝐶𝐒𝐒 of being their mother's killer, though they lack a clear motive, and Dali shares his plan to interrogate Igi with Maiji and instructs him to focus on studying while he takes on the role of Sully, taking on his former disguise. At school, Igi, disturbed by a memory of a woman with long blonde hair, experiences discomfort during lunch as Sully taunts him in the restroom stall, and upon leaving, is pursued by Igi, who offers money to keep her silent, but Sully, desiring only to embarrass him, rejects the money and inspects photos of 𝐔𝐃 at age 5. Notably, in a photo taken on 12/25/82, where the snowflake button is missing from his pajamas. Questioned about the missing button, 𝐔𝐃, unaware of Sully's identity, shares that the pajamas were his favorite at that age, but he cannot recall what happened to the button and reminisces about believing in Santa Claus before questioning Sully about her experience with Santa, learning she never believed in him. While 𝐷𝐿 finds the broken dolphin necklace in a school stairwell, convinced Sully has returned, 𝐷𝐿 tells him to move on, but he ignores the advice and hangs up poorly drawn images of her, declaring her missing, after which Akiyama analyzes Hitori's doodles, successfully recreating an accurate drawing of her and passing it on the missing person notices. 𝐔𝐃 meets Sully again, sharing his Christmas experience at age 5 and realizing his growing feelings for her before 𝐷𝐿, posing as Hitori, intervenes, urging her to leave 𝐔𝐃 before she shockingly reveals she's dating 𝐔𝐃. Sully later visits 𝐔𝐃, proposing a study break and suggesting a nap together. 𝐷𝐿, practicing hypnotism on 𝐷𝐿, plans to hypnotize him to uncover the truth. 𝐔𝐃 is reluctant to lie in bed with Sully, but she claims she can't sleep alone. To persuade him, Sully reveals a push-up bra and gives him a kiss to get him to lie down. At the Sorame home, 𝐷𝐿, as Hitori, expresses distress to his parents about Sully's rejection, so Yuko, aiming to help her son move on, allows him to drink wine and eventually becomes drunk, passing out while Hitori remains under the coffee table before Ozumu advises him to not disclose this incident, encouraging him not to give up on love. At the Ichijo house, 𝐷𝐿, as Sully, successfully hypnotizes 𝐔𝐃, extracting the story of the night 𝐷𝐿 died. 𝐷𝐿, outside 𝐔𝐃's window, shows Sully the repaired necklace and confesses his love. In a hypnotic state, 𝐔𝐃 pushes 𝐷𝐿, who bites Sully's hand before leaving. Recalling the events of Christmas Eve, 𝐔𝐃 remembers 𝐷𝐿 at his window. As she falls, she grabs his pajamas, ripping off the button, and blood starts pooling as she hits the ground. 𝐔𝐃 brings his mother to the window, but upon their return, the body is gone, leaving only a bloodstain, so Mrs. Ichijo convinces her son it was a ghost. In the Sorame house, 𝐷𝐿 reveals his understanding of the situation, prompting 𝐷𝐿's anger as he realizes that 𝐷𝐿 was Sully and refuses forgiveness. Shunpei brings his dinner to his room, ignoring his sister's opinion of him being a nerd. Once the door is closed, 𝐷𝐿, as Hitori, comes out from his bed covers and starts eating directly from the tray, using his face instead of his hands. Meanwhile, 𝐷𝐿 is alone in the Sorame house, still bearing 𝐷𝐿's bite mark on his hand. Shunpei explains that Hitori has been staying with him for 3 days and won't allow him to contact his parents, becoming concerned about potential abuse at his house before his sister informs him that someone is at the door, and he finds 𝐷𝐿, as Hitori, waiting. 𝐷𝐿 mentions leaving through the window and now wanting back inside and asks him to make tea. Once alone in the bedroom, 𝐷𝐿 speaks to 𝐷𝐿, who is hiding in the closet, asking for help to avenge their mother. However, 𝐷𝐿 prevents 𝐷𝐿 from opening the closet door. When Shunpei returns, he asks for Hitori's help with homework. While working, Shunpei hears a noise from the closet, so to prevent him from opening it, 𝐷𝐿 slaps Shunpei, knocking off his glasses, and while he's distracted, 𝐷𝐿 grabs 𝐷𝐿 and throws him into the closet. Later, 𝐷𝐿's riding on the back of Shunpei's bike before Shunpei, dressed in his bird costume, and 𝐷𝐿 shout that they are free. As 𝐷𝐿 watches them ride off, he goes to his mother's grave, promising to avenge her, even if he must do it alone. At the Sorame house, Hitori's mother brings out a mosquito costume for the upcoming Halloween party, which includes a costume contest, and 𝐷𝐿 learns that 𝐔𝐃 usually wins the contest every year as Mrs. Sorame notices that her son isn't eating as much as usual, so he mimics Hitori's eating habits, resulting in him vomiting later. During pie baking, Hitori panics when his mother asks him to braid the pie crust, since he normally does it with 𝐷𝐿's help, so he does braid it, but in an unusual pattern. Mr. Sorame takes a bath with his son, playing with a rubber duck that shoots water from its eyes and demonstrates that covering up one of the holes allows the water to shoot out further, encouraging 𝐷𝐿 to think that he might accomplish more without 𝐷𝐿. At the Halloween party, 𝐷𝐿 booby traps the contest winner's throne, ensuring a large pumpkin crashes onto the winner's head and dresses in the mosquito costume, using ketchup as fake blood to spray onto the audience. Maruta presents as a beaver, while Shunpei and an unknown figure present as birds. 𝐔𝐃 presents wearing only a brown drape over his clothes with no expression on his face, so 𝐷𝐿, wanting to ensure 𝐔𝐃 wins the contest, tells the other partygoers that 𝐔𝐃 is dressed as a beggar, prompting them to throw coins and money onto the stage, after which 𝐔𝐃 gains the most votes because of his unmoved expression, securing the win. 𝐔𝐃 refuses to accept the title, so the second-place winner, 𝐷𝐿, is selected to sit on the throne, revealing his true identity by removing his bird costume. Fearing 𝐷𝐿 will be harmed by the trap he set, 𝐷𝐿 rushes to the stage to protect him. However, 𝐔𝐃 reaches him first, and the pumpkin falls on his head. Later, 𝐔𝐃 is asleep in the hospital with a bandage over his head as Mrs. Ichijo watches over him before widening her eyes in surprise. And that concludes the tale so far of 𝐷𝐿 and 𝐷𝐿. From the Songyama's heartfelt love for Hattori to the twins' intricate plan for vengeance, we've delved into the complexities of family and revenge. If you're hooked on the suspense, smash that like button, subscribe for more anime intrigue, and unravel the mysteries with us in the comments. Until next time, stay captivated, stay subscribed.